Okay, good morning, everyone. I have added two new SQL queries to the list of saved queries, and you can access them in Leap to search for reading programs in the 526 field. Unfortunately, the 526 field is not properly indexed, so it does require the use of a SQL query to search for the different subfields. So when using it, it's fairly easy to use, but it does require a bit of editing to change the subfield and the value that you're searching for. So in order to do that, it's important to get to know the different subfields. The 526 is called the Study Program Information Note. So the subfield A is the name of the study program. However, one thing that's a bit problematic when searching for the subfield A is that the programs have not been standardized yet as a way that the value is entered into the system. So for example, accelerated reader might look like accelerated reader AR in one record, but in another record, it might just be A/R. So if you just search for accelerated reader, you might not actually come up with it. One thing that we may want to do is to talk to Scrap about coming up with a standard format for the subfield A so that it is corrected in each of the records and has one way to search for it. So subfield B is the interest level. Not all programs have an interest level, so I've got 3 examples on the screen. You can see that the accelerated reader and reading counts example have an interest level, but the third example is Fontes and Pinnell, and that does not have an interest level in that record. Subfield C is the reading level. So that looks differently depending on the program. So in the first 2 examples, you can see the reading level is a digit, but in the third example, it's a letter. Subfield D is a title point value. Again, that's different for each of the reading levels, and you can see that in the Fontes and Pinnell example that there is no subfield D. And the next field is the subfield Z, which is a public note. So this frequently has the word quiz in it with a colon and then a number. So this is an example of what a SQL query looks like. SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and this is a database querying language that will query the databases in the Polaris database. So you don't have to know anything about SQL to use it. All you need to do is alter the values that you're searching for. And these are where I've highlighted the text in yellow on the screen. So we have publication year. You can change this to any year, or if you don't want to search for a specific publication year, you can delete this whole row beginning with the word where, and you will not affect the query at all. It will be totally fine. You can also use a % symbol like a wildcard. You might be used to using a star as a wildcard, but here in SQL queries, we use the %. So if you wanted to search for anything published after the year 2000, you could just add the % symbol after 2 and search for 2%, and it will search for anything after the year 2000. If you wanted to search for, say, the year 2020 and 2021, or anything after 2020, you can search for 202%, and it will search for anything after the year 2020. So BT period tag number, that's the tag number 526. I've highlighted it, but you won't need to change it. You can just leave it as 526. The subfield, you will need to change the subfield within the single quotes to the subfield that you would like to query. And then this last row, data like, is for the value of the field. So in this example, this is the program name, and I've typed in the program name, Accelerated Reader AR. But again, if you are searching for a specific program, it could look like any variation on this. Accelerated reader, accelerated readers, reading, AR, A/R. So there's a lot of variations that you may need to search for to find all accelerated readers. So here's an example that I've altered the query to search for the interest level published at any time. So I have deleted that row for the publication year. The interest level is subfield B, so I've changed the A to a B. And I'm searching for the data MG for the middle grade interest level. So for accelerated readers, there's MG and MG+. So if I wanted to find MG+, I could change this to MG+. If I wanted to find both MG and MG+, I can change this to MG%. And then that would search for anything that's MG and MG+. So this next example is the query for reading level of 4.0 to 4.9 published in 2020. So I've added back in that row for where publication year equals 2020. Here I've changed the subfield to subfield C for the reading level. And in order to find that whole range of 4.0 to 4.9, I've changed the value to 4%. So this will look for anything that begins with the number 4 so that it will search for the whole range. So there is one more reader, one more SQL query that has been added. That's a separate one to just search for the branch as a filter. So the beginning looks pretty much the same. You will still want to change your subfield. You can change the year or delete that and change the value, but it has an extra row in the query already. And this is for the assigned branch ID. You will need to change the number within the parentheses to your Polaris branch code. If you have multiple branches for your library, you can add more than one number and separate them by a comma. So I'm going to switch to Polaris now, or to Leap, and demonstrate how to edit this. So once I've opened up the Find tool, you'll want to choose Bibliographic Record. The second drop-down menu is the search mode. Here you can select SQL Search. If you do not see that SQL Search is in this drop-down menu, you can let us know that your permissions need to be updated by writing to the help desk. And this third drop-down menu has a list of all of our saved SQL queries. So if you go down to the bottom of the list, you'll see Study Program and Study Program by branch. So Study Program does not have that row at the end to search for the branch, and it will search for all records in the database. If you'd like to search for just the ones that your library owns, you can select Study Program by branch. So I will select that. In order to edit this query, you will need to press this caret symbol, and it opens up the text box. And here you can edit the subfield, update the publication year. If you want, you can just delete this so that you don't filter by publication year. So I'm going to delete that. And then alter the value. So I'll use the example of the interest level for MG and MG+ and make that MG%. So it will find both. And if I wanted to just search for the items owned by Palatine, I would change that to 72, 73, 74. And then in order for this to run properly, you need to press that caret again to close the text box. Then you can press the search symbol, and it will search for all of the records that have an interest level of MG and MG plus and Palatine. So if you take a look at this mark record and go down to the 526 field, you can see the example that it's found a record with the interest level of MG. But if you wanted to you can see that this one also has a reading count level. It has an interest level of 3 to 5. So if you decided you wanted to expand your search to something different, you can alter that search so it's an interest level of 3 to 5. So I'll leave that as branch ID 12, see if there's any for branch ID 12. And here we have everything that has the interest level of 3 to 5 for branch ID 12. So here you can see some inconsistencies in the reading level. This is a good example here of how these are not standardized yet. So we have accelerated reader AR in this field, just accelerator reader in this field. Here we have reading counts RC, reading counts with an exclamation mark. And you can see that with the first example, accelerated readers reading count or interest level of 3 to 5 matched the MG interest level of accelerated reader, but here it's an LG interest level and 3 to 5 for the reading count interest level. So there are a lot of different variations that you will see in these 526 fields as you search for it. And I believe that in the previous past meeting, you talked about different charts that you could look at. So that's possibly something that you could reference while you're deciding what you want to search for. And I have also created a document. You can find it on the Learning Portal. This is the under Polaris Procedures, the Public Services link. And on this page, you can find it by clicking on Searching. And it's this last one called SQL Queries for the Study Program field. So that will give you some additional examples of how you can alter the search and some notes on the areas where the fields may differ. So you can see I've added some examples for publication year here and some of other examples for reading level. Do you have any questions? If you have any other requests too for different examples, I could demonstrate a couple of other examples.
We just have a lot of comments coming in saying, thank you, Rachel, that's super helpful. And this is very cool and very useful. I see it from all of our children's librarians. So that's very nice to see. I have a couple comments using this clip at my next staff meeting. I can also clip this meeting so that it's two separate. So you can have just the clip of the searching so you don't have to search through the right place. I see the yes exclamation point. Okay, great.
So I think one thing that is problematic, as I said, is all of the different variations in that subfield A field that need to be cleaned up. And I can bring it up to scrap to see if we'd want to make that standardized field. It hasn't been done yet and would need to be part of our local practices that we need to add a page to the catalog wiki. It could take time to create that practice, and we may need some help from some of the children's librarians to make sure that field does look the way they'd want it to look, and to craft a list of what we'd want to standardize it as. Is that something that anyone would be interested in recommending to CAM and Scrap, or interested in helping us with? I see a message from Anne that she is interested in helping. I'll write that down.
We can also put a reminder in the newsletter too, asking for help with that. Melissa Morgan from Winnetka says that she can think of at least one person at her library that would be happy to help too.
Great.
And then, as Rachel mentioned, if you don't have access or permission to run a SQL query in Leap, just go ahead and open a help ticket. You can just email help@ccslib.org, and we can make sure that you get set up with that correct permission. And if you have a question on how to modify the query, Rachel gave some great examples, but I know when you're actually in there in the find tool trying to make the change, sometimes it can get a little confusing if you're not familiar with SQL. So if you need help modifying the query, just open a ticket as well. We're happy to work with you for those changes. Thanks, Kathleen. Kathleen popped the help desk email into the chat.
Okay, so I think that was our last topic on the agenda. We can go ahead and open it up to discussion. I'm also popping that SurveyMonkey link into our chat as well. So if you want to let us know how you use our website and what could be better about it, you can also take the time to fill out that as well. Because we can only make it better if you help us understand how you want to navigate that site. It's kind of like voting. Like if you don't vote in an election and then things don't go the way you want, right? Like you have to be a part of the process. So please consider using that survey.
And we all know you all have opinions on our website, so please share them with us.
Yes, like please unload those. We would be really happy to hear about them so we can make that better. So that said, we can go ahead and open it up to open discussion. If there was anything else anyone wanted to talk about or chat about, now is the time to do that. Okay, we're usually by far the chattiest group in CCS, but that is okay that we're not. It's no problem. We'll go ahead and if you want to exit, that's fine. I will go ahead and post. I'll go ahead and post this to the CCS YouTube page, and then I will also split out Rachel's discussion on using the accelerated reader study program SQL query. So if you want to use that at a reference or children's department meeting, you can go ahead and just watch that. Again, if you have any questions, help@ccslib.org is a great place to put those requests for permissions or get help with using that query. Our survey is there for the website. I will stop repeating that like the broken record that I am. And then I think we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Becky, I'll go ahead and hand that off to you.
Okay, so we just need a motion to adjourn then. Everybody is really quiet today.
Mm-hmm.
I'll move to adjourn.
Thanks, Liz.
No problem.
John from Wilmette, I second.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.